Kunal Kamra, insult comedy and free speech.
हम होंगे कंगाल, हम होंगे कंगाल, हम होंगे कंगाल एक दिन.
Well, that debate is back ever since Kunal Kamra did that comic satire, taking some pot shots at Eknath Shinde and even Narendra Modi. Well, we'll talk about what Kunal Kamra did in just a moment, but I just want to draw your attention to something completely different first. There is a great web series these days on Netflix called The Diplomat. It's actually about the life of a US ambassador to the UK and the surrounding political intrigue. I guess that political intrigue is part and parcel of any such job. In that, there is a great dialogue. If you have a bell, it's not a bell till you have rung it. If you have a song in your mind, it's not a song till you've actually sung it. And if you love someone, it's not love till you actually let it go. I guess in Kunal Kamra's case, it's not comedy till it hasn't hurt someone, till somebody is not out to attack you, till somebody is not out to abuse you because you took pot shots at someone. Now, truth be told, folks, I don't have any great sympathy for comedians in India, given the fact that on multiple occasions, people like Sena and all kinds of other characters, Munawar Farooqi, Ranveer Alabadia, have indulged in content which I think is pathetic, cheap content. But Kamra's case is slightly different. This is where comedy, insult, satire, and politics all get rolled into one. So what happened? Within a few hours of Kunal Kamra recording his take and uploading it on what he thought of politics in Maharashtra and certain leaders in Maharashtra, immediately, supporters, activists of Eknath Shinde Sena ended up gathering at that place. There was vandalism. That set where the recording was done was completely shattered. And it was said that Kunal Kamra has indulged in an act of grave hatred. There's a grave crime which has been committed, and hence he must be punished. Now, Kamra, on his case, has gone on X and he says that there is no question of any apology, while he will continue to cooperate with investigating agencies. Mr. Shinde's PR teams, meanwhile, have been in an overdrive, trying to push out this narrative that Kunal Kamra actually is a serial offender, since he has said these kind of things against former judges of the Supreme Court, against the Supreme Court itself, and therefore he doesn't deserve any sympathy. In the midst of this entire Kunal Kamra story and Eknath Shinde's supposed vandalism, there is a politics of Maharashtra which is playing out. So let's roll back to 2022, when Eknath Shinde had broken the back of the Shiv Sena, then led by Uddhav Thackeray, as well as the ruling MVA, with the Congress and the NCP as alliance partners. The NCP also ended up splitting, with Ajit Pawar taking away MLAs from his uncle's party. The new Shiv Sena and the NCP then came together with the BJP and formed a government, with Eknath Shinde becoming the chief minister of the state. That, of course, didn't go down well with Devendra Fadnavis, who till then had harbored ambitions of breaking all political parties and becoming the chief minister on his own. Then came the 2024 assembly elections in Maharashtra, where the BJP ended up sweeping the state. And Shinde Sena came in at number 2, but by a long distance. Fadnavis ended up becoming chief minister yet again, this time with Eknath Shinde now performing the job which Devendra Fadnavis had performed earlier, of being unhappy, of not being satisfied of what was being given to him. He refused to meet with anyone, ended up going to his village, and generally gave the sense that he was sulking. While Shinde was sulking, Ajit Pawar had made peace with whatever the deal that was being offered to him. But Eknath Shinde continued to express his displeasure. In fact, even before the government was formed, Eknath Shinde chose to skip crucial political engagements and went off on multiple occasions to his village in Satara, saying he was unwell. These village visits were all ostensibly meant to put pressure on Devendra Fadnavis and the BJP. There were several flashpoints since then. One of the first was the downgrading of security of several MLAs and MPs belonging to Shinde Sena. These were the people who were given violable security when Eknath Shinde was the chief minister, ostensibly to woo them away from Uddhav Thackeray. The next clash then came over naming of the guardian ministers, who had been made cabinet ministers and were given important portfolios when Eknath Shinde was the chief minister. Devendra Fadnavis initially went by his own gut, though subsequently he did retrace a few of his steps back, and seeing that Eknath Shinde was unhappy, he did try to broker a truce with him by giving something in return to Eknath Shinde as well. Then there was another spark between the alliance partners when Shinde chose to ignore the CM's meeting on the Mahakumbh in UP. Instead, he ended up holding his own meeting on the same issue. There are several similar examples, big and small, that tell us that Eknath Shinde has not made his peace with the fact that he's not the chief minister now and is Devendra Fadnavis. But this one incident could actually end up changing the entire political equation in Maharashtra, and all due to a stand-up show. The violence and the vandalism that has followed since Kunal Kamra's performance has been very publicly acknowledged by Shinde's party. There are several videos as well where people are openly claiming that they are the ones who indulged in this vandalism. They're openly issuing threats against Kunal Kamra. Following this, the entire ruling coalition also came together to say that what Kunal Kamra had done was absolutely wrong. Fadnavis, in fact, has even gone to the extent of demanding a public apology from Kunal Kamra on behalf of his deputy. Of course, Kunal is not having anything to do with this demand of an apology. But let's for a moment look at the numbers also in the Maharashtra Assembly. The BJP, if it doesn't have Shinde Sena support, will end up being in absolutely comfortable majority with Ajit Pawar. In fact, for Ajit Dada also, it will end up being a very interesting equation. Forget Eknath Shinde and let's get more of Malaidar, meteor portfolios while being a part of the alliance with Devendra Fadnavis. So what does Eknath Shinde do now? Eknath Shinde is stuck. On one hand, once again, the entire debate of whether he was a Gaddar, whether he backstabbed Uddhav Thackeray is back. On the other, while Devendra Fadnavis is supporting him for optics' sake, on his part, Devendra Fadnavis has demanded a public apology from Kunal Kamra on behalf of Eknath Shinde. But that's all for optics. Because if you look at the assembly configuration in the state of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde does not have the numbers in which he can hard press Devendra Fadnavis. If Mr. Shinde was to think in terms of going in that direction, there's a straightforward scenario which is emerging in Maharashtra. Ajit Pawar and Devendra Fadnavis together are well beyond the halfway mark of 144 in the state assembly. So the only thing that Shinde can do is to keep on one side expressing his displeasure, on the other maybe thanking Devendra Fadnavis for standing by him publicly. So if Mr. Fadnavis has managed to box Eknath Shinde in a corner, well, he has Kunal Kamra to thank for. This is not to suggest that Kunal Kamra's stand-up comedy was at the behest of Devendra Fadnavis, but certainly the one person who ends up being the winner in this entire exercise, most certainly not Eknath Shinde, most certainly not Ajit Pawar, but Devendra Fadnavis.